I was watching this YouTube video the other day about Amish health practices, and it really got me thinking about how they seem to have this incredible well-being, often without relying on modern medicine. And it got me wondering, what's their secret? Like, what can we learn from how they approach health, even if we don't live on a farm?
Yeah, it's really fascinating how the Amish, even though they live a much simpler life in a lot of ways,
Mm-hmm.
they have so much to teach us about, well, longevity and well-being.
Mm-hmm.
Their lifestyle is like a stark contrast to our modern world.
Yeah.
And I think there's some really valuable lessons we can take away from their practices.
Totally. I mean, one of the things that stood out to me the most was this idea of movement as medicine.
Yeah,
They don't need gyms or fitness trackers or any of that stuff because their daily lives are already so physically active.
right.
Just think about it. Lifting and hauling and chopping wood, gardening, it's all just built into their routine.
Yeah. It's a really powerful example of how functional movement can be integrated into everyday life. They're not consciously exercising. It's not like they're like, oh, I'm going to go work out now. They're just living in a way that requires them to be physical.
Right.
They're engaging your entire body all the time.
Yeah.
And that contributes to their strength and their cardiovascular health.
Yeah.
Imagine how different our lives would be if we could find ways to incorporate more natural movement into our day.
Yeah, I know. Instead of trying to squeeze in a workout, what if we just found ways to be more active throughout the day? I mean, even small changes, right? Like taking the stairs instead of the elevator or walking more. Could that make a real difference, do you think?
Oh, absolutely. Even small things can make a big difference over time.
Yeah.
And this connection to the physical world, it extends to their diet too.
Okay.
The video I saw really highlighted how much the Amish prioritize fresh, homegrown food.
Right.
They grow what they eat. The
Right.
meals are simple, and they're totally free of processed ingredients.
It's so different from our modern supermarkets with all those, packaged foods and everything.
Mhm.
Or
Yeah,
I bet their food just tastes so much better too, knowing that it's coming straight from the garden.
it probably does. And it's not just about taste either.
Yeah.
There's a growing body of research that suggests that a lot of commercially grown produce just lacks the nutrient density
Hmm.
of food that's grown in really, really nutrient-rich soil
Mhm.
without all the pesticides.
Right.
So the Amish, by focusing on fresh, homegrown food, I mean, they're not only enjoying these delicious meals,
Hmm.
but they're also consuming a way higher concentration of vitamins and minerals.
I mean, that makes so much sense. It's crazy how something as simple as the way we grow our food can have such a huge impact on our health.
Yeah.
And speaking of food and the environment, the video touched on this super interesting idea that they called the dirt theory.
Oh, yeah. The idea that exposure to a variety of microbes, even the ones that are found in, like dirt,
Yeah.
can actually strengthen our immune systems.
Exactly. And the video showed kids playing in the mud, animals grazing, all that stuff. It's a far cry from how we are today, our modern obsession with sanitizing everything.
Right.
It makes you wonder if maybe our quest for this germ-free environment is actually doing more harm than good. Is it weakening our natural defenses?
Yeah. It's a really intriguing question. See, our bodies are actually home to trillions of bacteria.
Wow.
A lot of those bacteria live in our gut,
Hmm.
and those microbes play a huge role in our overall health, including our immune function.
Interesting.
When we try to limit our exposure to a diverse range of microbes,
Mhm.
it's possible that we're actually disrupting this delicate balance of our gut microbiome.
Hmm.
And that might actually be making us more susceptible to getting sick.
Wow. So are you saying that getting a little dirty could actually be good for us?
Well, there's definitely more and more research that's starting to support that idea.
Mhm.
I mean, studies have shown that children who grow up in environments with greater microbial diversity, they tend to have lower rates of allergies and autoimmune diseases.
Mhm.
Now, obviously, this doesn't mean you should abandon basic hygiene, right?
Yeah.
But maybe we don't need to be quite so afraid of a little dirt.
That is really thought-provoking. It sounds like the Amish, by living closer to nature, might be onto something,
It is.
especially when it comes to building a strong immune system.
Yeah, and their connection to nature, I think, also plays a big role in how they manage stress.
Right.
The video talked about how they live at a slower pace, their lack of technology overload, their strong community ties.
Yeah.
All these things add up to a more tranquil existence.
Yeah. There was this one part in the video that really stuck with me. It was about this Amish elder who was more excited about the design of his barn than he was about any of the stressful things that were going on in the outside world. It made me realize how much our constant access to news and social media can really fuel anxiety.
Yeah, that's a perfect example of how their lifestyle minimizes stress without them even trying.
Right.
They're
Yeah.
not bombarded with information overload. They're not facing the pressures of our fast-paced, technology-driven world.
Ugh.
They focus on face-to-face interactions, doing meaningful work, and connecting with their community.
It really makes you wonder, what can we learn from them? Like what parts of our modern lives could we maybe simplify a bit to create a calmer and more peaceful existence?
It's a great question. And even small changes, like limiting your screen time, right? Or
Yeah.
choosing to prioritize in-person connections, those things can actually make a big difference in lowering stress.
And what about when the Amish do get sick? The video mentioned that they rely heavily on natural remedies, like especially garlic and elderberry syrup.
Yeah, that's right. They have this really deep connection to the healing power of nature. And they've passed down a lot of traditional remedies through generations. Garlic, for example, is really well known for its immune-boosting properties.
Yeah. The video actually showed someone eating a whole clove of raw garlic. It was it was pretty intense. Have you ever tried garlic as a remedy?
I have, though
Yeah.
uh, maybe not with that level of enthusiasm.
Yeah.
It can be quite potent.
Yeah.
But there is actually some scientific evidence to back up the idea that garlic is effective against colds and the flu.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's got compounds that have antiviral and antibacterial properties.
Interesting. I've heard of elderberry syrup too. What's the science behind that one?
Well, elderberry syrup is full of antioxidants,
Oh,
and it's been used for centuries to treat respiratory infections. Studies have even shown that it can actually shorten the duration of a cold or the flu, and also lessen how bad the symptoms are. The Amish have always made their own elderberry syrup, the old-fashioned way, so you know that there are no weird artificial ingredients or preservatives in it.
wow. That's really interesting. I'm starting to see how their connection to nature kind of extends to their healthcare practices too.
Hmm.
It's like they've figured out how to harness the healing power of plants and natural remedies.
Exactly. And it's not just about treating illness either. It's about having a proactive approach to well-being. They're not just sitting around waiting for something to go wrong and then trying to fix it. They're constantly nourishing their bodies with wholesome food, being physically active, and minimizing stress. All things that help them live longer, healthier lives.
Yeah. It's like they've created a lifestyle that supports well-being naturally. It's pretty inspiring, honestly.
It is.
Hmm.
And one of the most remarkable things about them is how they view aging. They completely reject our traditional idea of retirement.
I know, that's right. The video showed them staying active and engaged their whole lives. They're passing down knowledge, they're taking on new challenges, contributing to their community. It's so different from how a lot of people view getting older in our society.
Yeah. The Amish truly embodies the concept of like active aging, where you emphasize continued engagement and learning, no matter how old you are.
Hmm.
They see aging as a time for continued growth and giving back, not a time to slow down or withdraw from life.
And there's actual scientific evidence to support that kind of approach.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
Uh,
I mean, we've seen in studies that if you stay mentally and physically active, it can help you avoid cognitive decline, and it can help you live longer.
wow.
And the Amish, by constantly challenging themselves and doing things that they find meaningful, they're keeping their minds and bodies sharp well into their later years.
That's amazing. It's like they've figured out the secret to aging gracefully and staying vital throughout their whole lives. And I also noticed that they seem to really prioritize rest too.
Oh, yeah, definitely. The video showed how they stick to a very natural sleep cycle, early to bed and early to rise.
Mm.
They don't have all the artificial lights and late-night distractions that we have
Yeah.
that mess with our sleep patterns.
It's so true. I mean, I can even remember the last time I went to bed before like 10 p.m.
Yeah.
I'm always on my phone or watching TV, something like that.
It's easy to fall into those habits,
Yeah.
but they can really take a toll on your health.
Right.
I mean, getting enough sleep is essential for so many things, like your immune system, your hormones, your ability to think clearly.
Mm.
I think we could all learn a lot from the Amish
Hmm.
and how they prioritize getting enough rest.
As we're talking about all of this, it just makes me think about like maybe we've just overcomplicated things in modern life. The Amish, with their focus on simplicity, they just seem to have tapped into something really fundamental about well-being.
I think you're totally right. Their lifestyle really is a testament to the power of connecting with nature, moving your body, eating wholesome food, and finding purpose in your community. Those are the core elements of their health and happiness. And they're things that we can all work on incorporating into our own lives, even in our modern world.
Absolutely. And one of the most striking things about Amish life is their sense of community and shared purpose. Everybody has a role to play, and everyone's contribution is valued. It's so different from the individualism that we see so much of in modern society.
That's definitely a key part of their well-being. In Amish communities, each person's well-being is tied to the well-being of the whole group.
Right.
And that interconnectedness creates a really strong sense of belonging, support, and shared responsibility, which I think really contributes to both their mental and emotional health.
It's like they've cracked the code on how to create a society where everyone feels needed, and valued. I think that's something we all crave, even if we don't always realize it.
Absolutely. The Amish lifestyle really reminds us that we're social creatures,
Mm.
and our well-being is deeply affected by how strong our social connections are and how much purpose we get from those connections.
Mm.
It makes you wonder, how can we build stronger community ties in our own lives?
Hmm.
And how can we find a greater sense of shared purpose? What does community look like for you? And what gives you a sense of purpose in your day-to-day life?
Yeah, that's a really great question to think about. I mean, I've realized that while I know a lot of people, I could definitely put more effort into deepening those connections and also finding more ways to give back to my community. It's pretty amazing to see how much community is at the center of Amish life.
It is. It really is. Their whole approach is a powerful reminder that we, as humans, we thrive when we feel like we're part of something bigger than ourselves.
Yeah.
And it's not just about socializing and hanging out with people, It's also about feeling like you have a role to play, a purpose that gives meaning to your life. And this sense of purpose, along with their strong community ties, I think those are big reasons why they seem so content and resilient.
I think you're right. It's so easy in our modern world to get caught up in chasing success and achievements. But the Amish, it seems like they've found a different path, one that focuses on like collective well-being. And having that shared sense of purpose, it's a good reminder that maybe true happiness and fulfillment come from contributing to something bigger than ourselves.
Exactly. They've created a society where everyone feels valued
Yeah.
and has a clear role to play. And that's something that I think challenges our modern ideas of success and reminds us that real fulfillment, a lot of times, comes from connection, contribution, and belonging.
And it's not just about their community structure, it's also about their deep connection to nature. I mean, we've already talked about how they incorporate physical activity into their daily lives, but it goes way beyond that. They live in harmony with the natural world, from their farming practices to their simple homes. It makes you wonder, like, could we all benefit from having a stronger connection to nature, even if we live in cities and stuff?
I think that's a crucial point. The Amish way of life constantly reminds us that we're interconnected with nature, the way they respect the environment, their reliance on natural remedies, how they live in tune with the seasons. All of that contributes to their well-being. And it really does make you think, like, how could we bring more of that connection into our own lives, even if we don't have farms or live in rural areas?
It's a great question. I think we should all be asking ourselves that. I mean, even doing simple things like spending time in nature, maybe growing your own herbs, or just noticing the changing seasons. All of that can help us reconnect with the natural world and maybe rediscover a sense of balance in our lives.
Exactly. It's about finding those little ways to bring nature back into our modern lives, even if it's just in small ways. And that's what's so fascinating about looking at how the Amish approach well-being.
Mm.
It's not about romanticizing their way of life. It's about getting valuable insights that we can apply to our own lives as we try to be healthier and happier.
I agree. It's about finding inspiration in their simplicity, their connection to nature, their strong sense of community, and their commitment to living a life of purpose. We can all strive for those things. It doesn't matter what our circumstances are.
Right. And I think it's also about being willing to question the things we think we know.
Mm.
The Amish really challenge our modern ideas about progress, success, and well-being. They remind us that there's more to life than just material things, constant stimulation, and individual achievement.
It's a good reminder that sometimes the simplest solutions are the most powerful ones.
And that by letting go of some of the complexities of modern life, we might actually rediscover what truly matters.
It's pretty amazing how the Amish they seem to have this natural understanding of how to age gracefully. It's like they don't buy into that whole idea that getting older means slowing down or that you're less capable.
Yeah. They seem to really embrace this concept of active aging. They
Yes.
stay engaged, they keep learning new things, and they're constantly contributing to their community. It's really inspiring.
And it makes you think about how much our society pushes this idea of retirement as a time to step back and withdraw from life. The Amish model is so different. It's all about continuing to grow and contribute regardless of age.
Right. It's like they don't see aging as a decline. It's more like another chapter
Yeah.
filled with opportunities to keep learning and sharing their wisdom.
It's funny because there's actually a ton of research that backs up this approach to aging. Studies have shown that staying mentally and physically active can help prevent cognitive decline and even help you live longer.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Staying engaged and challenged throughout life, it keeps your mind sharp and your body strong.
It's like the Amish are living proof that age is just a number. You know, what you do with those years is what really matters.
And their connection to nature probably plays a big role in that too, right? They're constantly moving, working outdoors, breathing fresh air. All of that contributes to overall well-being.
It's so true. It makes you wonder, how can we bring more of that into our own lives, even if we don't live on farms or have that kind of direct connection to nature?
Well, I think it starts with small steps.
Hmm.
Taking walks in the park, gardening, even just paying more attention to the natural world around us.
I love that. Little things can make a big difference.
Yeah. And I think, exploring these Amish health practices has really been an eye-opener for me. It's not about copying their lifestyle exactly. It's more about taking away those key principles
Mm-hmm.
like simplicity, connection, purpose. Those are the things that seem to be at the heart of their well-being.
I totally agree. We started this deep dive asking, what can we learn from the Amish about living healthier, happier lives? And I think the answer is a lot.
Yeah, I think so too. Their way of life might not be for everyone, but it definitely holds some valuable lessons for all of us.
Well, this has been a fascinating conversation. Thanks for sharing your insights with us.
It's been my pleasure.
And to our listeners, we'd love to hear your thoughts on this. What resonated with you? What are some things you might try to bring a little more Amish wisdom into your own life? Let us know. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and most importantly, keep taking care of yourselves.